Howdy, y'all.
And she just froze up for a second, and now she's back. How you doing, dear?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm incredibly good. Although I'm only hearing
Incredibly.
you out of one ear, so I'm wondering if my earbuds are finally dying. My free $1.98, whatever they were, earbuds for my Android. Going down the drain, Amber. We've killed them finally.
Well, I'm about ready to kill these that I have on because they keep falling out of my ears. They're these stupid kind that are supposed to like lock into your ear. Well, let me just tell you, I haven't figured out how to lock it in, but that could be me, operator,
Hello,
problems. But
carnivorous lioness. It's good to
still
see you
the
again.
best name ever.
Yes, that name rocks.
I
Just
love it.
truly, truly does. How you doing, my dear?
I'm good. I'm good. It's Friday. Hey, and we're going out of town.
Oh, yes, getting away from it all the
Yes, yes.
stress, leaving it behind. I don't blame you. If I were you, I'd be getting out of town too.
Yeah, I need it. Yes, yes, for sure. Do some dancing tonight. Listen to a
All
good friend of
right.
ours who came in from Nashville, and so it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah,
Well, listen, we appreciate folks coming in and to sit and be a part of the discussion with Amber and I here for another episode of the KetovoreKast. If you have any questions throughout, we will do our best to get around to your question as soon as possible. We have been known to stop in the middle of a discussion and say to take a
yeah,
question, so don't
yeah.
hesitate. But one of the things we want to talk about this week, because I think this is one of the most important documentaries to come out
Oh yeah,
related to nutrition, maybe ever,
yeah.
because it doesn't pull any punches. It exposes what needed to be exposed. And yes, I'm talking about Vinnie Tortorich's Fat, a documentary. Oh my gosh.
Excellent. Yes,
What you've seen it?
yes.
What do you think?
Well, I first saw a pretty decent clip of it at KetoCon, and I was extremely impressed with it then. And 2 nights ago, I played it for my mother and my husband as well, and we sat through the whole entire thing. And I thought it was, for me, I thought it was very well done. Now, a lot of it I already knew, but it really enforced just how much we have been misled, whether it be on purpose or by just misinformation or, horrible research and people took as the gospel without really understanding what that research, implied really. And I found it, just really infuriating. And it makes me all the more determined to try to get the word out because it is just so messed up. What we've been told by doctors and, your dietitians, just so many people. And I just feel like, we have to do something to help these people who don't know any better. I didn't either. I just got lucky and I stumbled across something and then started doing all this kind of different research. And, my eyes have been opened. And I feel really bad for those who don't see that and just, prefer to cling to what they've always been told because, it's a gospel. And that really bothers me. And I think that movie just really kind of slaps you in the face and makes you go, maybe, just maybe what we've been told for so long is not exactly the correct information. So
Maybe. I think you're
maybe,
being too
yeah.
kind.
Yeah. Well,
You're being
yeah,
really generous with that. I agree completely. I thought it was extremely powerful. I thought it was
very,
very well done. I thought it was designed, rightfully so, to be a gut punch.
for
And we
sure.
need a gut punch with regards to this nonsense we've been taught about, low fat diet, more plants, more carbs, more sugar,
Yes.
all this heart healthy stuff that's
Yeah,
putting people in the ground so fast it's ridiculous while making trillions along the way. And I
exactly.
thought I thought that it was brilliantly edited. I thought I literally felt like that Vinny punched me in the gut on numerous occasions just with his
Yes.
words
Yes.
because they were so powerfully and properly delivered. And
Totally agree.
the fact of the matter is we've all been fed a line of nonsense. And
Yes.
I believe more and more it was deliberate. I
Yeah.
think more and more these people, these Kellogg's and whatnot, they figured out, they learned that this stuff, this corn, these grains, all this nonsense sugar is so incredibly addictive.
Yes.
And they've made a science out of it.
Yes. I'm reading a book on that right now, and the more I'm learning, the more I'm like, oh my God, it's
Well,
awful.
yeah, they study on how to maximize your pleasure
Yes.
centers,
Yes.
and hello, Olga, and they design these foods because they're not really foods; they're created in a lab. They're
Yes.
these
Agree.
concoctions of sugar and shelf life poison, and well, look at our own personal experience. You were 5'2", weighed over 240 pounds. I was at 280, 289. We were addicted to the
Yeah.
gills on that stuff. And hello, happy belly lady. And many people that are in our chat right now, they know all about being
Yes.
sugar addicted.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so important that wherever we can, we bought this movie. We're going to share it as many ways as possible. And I encourage everybody, for $13, it's a steal.
Yeah, I agree. Did you see that some people are actually giving copies to their local libraries?
Yes,
I
I
think that's
did. That's
freaking
beautiful.
awesome. Yes, I love that.
For $13, why not?
Exactly.
I mean, seriously, why not? Just a beautiful thing. And if you could do that in your community, go for it.
I
Absolutely
agree.
go for it. I cannot recommend it enough. And, they just emphasize the point, fat is not our enemy. We need fat. We need animal fat. We need saturated animal fat. There's a doctor, his name escapes me right now. You can check out the Mind, Body, and Beyond podcast with Nevada Gray and Chris Donahue. I never can get their silly name right. It's not silly. They're going to slap me. What? Brett's making fun of us. No, I'm not.
Slap
I
him.
just
He
can't
needs it.
talk. Mind, body breakthroughs. I wasn't saying it right. Anyway, they have this doctor on it, and his name escapes me, but he's a heart doctor. He's a cardiologist, and he's showing evidence that our hearts even prefer to burn ketones over glucose. Think about that for a minute. The next time your doctor or you see a commercial promoting some low-fat, high-sugary, carby nonsense full of crap, your heart doesn't even want to burn that nonsense at all.
Mm-mm. No.
I just think it's incredibly important that everybody see this movie and everybody share
I agree. We'll have to, when we upload the video, we'll put some resources underneath, like the book I'm reading for one, the movie, of course, and so everybody can just go straight there and see it.
Good deal. Good deal. Okay, here's an issue that I want to touch on, and we talked about. Learning things the hard way. For some people, it's necessary. For others, not so much.
Yeah.
Which were you, Amber?
Well, if you look at my past, apparently I'm somebody that needs to learn and learn again and learn again and learn again, because apparently I keep thinking that I'm going to get a different result by doing the same thing. So I don't know. It kind of seems like I'm one of those that kind of needs to be slapped around a little bit before I get it. I don't know. But nowadays, I am a lot more careful about that kind of thing. I'm not saying I never make mistakes or anything like that, or, choose to do something I know that's not great. But I'm also not really so much into experimenting with the bad. For instance, like just to kind of see where I'm at with cake. Okay, just say that. then, check my blood sugar and see just how bad it is. Well, I don't really need to do that because I already know it's not good for me. And I don't care enough about it to do it. So I don't need to experiment with that to learn that lesson, nor do I need to just try it one more time just to see how yucky I feel. So then next time I'll go, oh, wait, it makes me feel so yucky. So, well, I can't say I never, ever do that, but for the most part, 90% of the time, no, I'm not going to do that. So I hope I've learned to just not do that. I watch enough people online who do that, and then they go, oh, I feel like crap. Well, yeah. Of course you are, especially when you're doing something, for instance, carnivore, where you've eliminated everything. So when you do add something back in just to see how crappy you're going to feel, guess what? You're probably going to feel pretty crappy. But, some people, I guess, need that to reinforce it. And, hey, if that's you, okay, so long as you learn, it's all good. Me, I'm not so willing to try it for that reason. I'm not saying I never do anything bad, but I don't try it for that reason, just to see if I feel bad or not. But that's me.
Yeah, I can't play in that playground.
No.
The risks are just way too high. I mean, because it's not a question of, it wouldn't even be it wouldn't just affect me. It would affect everybody in our home.
Poor Danielle,
because as soon as I ate some sugar, I would, in 5 minutes, I'm a psycho. I mean, my behavior deteriorates. We know this from past experience, and it's just, there's just no flavor. There's no taste. There's no texture. There's no smell that I need in my life to risk that.
Right.
There just isn't. But I observed some folks, and I want to commend one person. I'm not going to say their name, even though they gave me permission to. I don't remotely, even on the off chance, embarrass anybody. But this person did 30 days carnivore. 31 days, actually, I believe. And they had all these immense health improvements. And they said, they said at the end of that, I'm going to eat basically some crap that I used to love and see what happens. And I warned them. And they didn't have a very good experience. And they owned it. They didn't make excuses. And I was very happy to see that now this person said they were ribeye for life.
Well, hey, if that's what it takes, you know what? Okay.
And of course, me, my first thought when I read that was, well, if you could, that's what you crave and can afford, go for it.
If you can afford.
But I guess some people have to learn the hardest way possible in order for the lesson to take. I don't personally understand that. But you guys, you got to be careful, because just because you gained some benefits doesn't mean if you lose them again, you're going to get them back.
Could be.
There's just no guarantee to that. So I caution, walk softly, be very certain that's what you really want to do. When you lose those tolerances to the toxins.
Yeah.
And
you really do.
Ooh.
You really do.
Don't want to play in that ground.
No. Not fun.
How, let's see. So you're what now? Are you 120 days? You passed 120 days?
Yeah. I wish I could. I should have looked at that. I want to say it's like 130 something.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you reported 3 months ago that you were having energy issues, and you seem to have resolved that pretty much, haven't you?
Well, I'm still not at the energy level that I was when I was on keto, but it does seem to be improving. However, this last couple of weeks, I've been under like a lot of stress, and so that I think has affected me, number one, my sleep somewhat. So, it's kind of hard to really judge by that. I don't know what it is that's causing it. It may not be my diet. It may be just the stress, I don't know.
Well, cortisol has been known to play a role in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a physician. I'm not somebody,
give medical advice.
Yeah, no medical advice, but there is some serious data out there to show that stress causes an increase in cortisol, which can definitely cause problems.
Yeah, stress is awful.
Plus, you're 53, and let's face it, the female species undergoes a lot of changes around
this is
that
true.
age.
Yeah. Sorry, ladies.
You've got a lot going on.
Yeah, just a little bit.
On the outside and on the inside.
True story.
You're also probably still in adaptation too, don't you think?
I think so. I honestly do. I think from so many years of eating low-fat things that, I mean, there was honestly a point in my life, and I'm not even kidding you, that I had almost 0 grams of fat. That seems like it's impossible, but let me tell you, you can do it. And I just about did. And my hair was all falling out in big, huge clumps, and my skin was all dry, and I couldn't even think straight. And my personal trainer was yelling at me, eat a candy bar, eat anything, oh my God, get some fat. And she's like, what? I can't believe I just told a client that. But I was seriously that bad because I believed fat was the enemy. If you eat fat, you get fat, right? Well, I believed that. I did. I was one of those. And I just had cut back so much on fat that I think my body is just like, yeehaw, gimme, 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 and it's still trying to adapt. And plus, I also ate very little red meat. Mostly what I ate was chicken, all the time, chicken, walk, walk. But it's like I was so scared to eat too much red meat, and for whatever reason, I guess my husband says my mind really takes over and tells me that there's good food and bad food, and when I decide something's bad, nope, ain't gonna have it. And he's probably right. But I wouldn't eat red meat hardly. Maybe, I'm talking steak like twice a year. And I'm really not kidding on that. We would have ground meat here and there when I would make lasagna or something like that. But I really didn't eat that much red meat. So I had no doubt my body, even though I did keto and, I started getting the healthy fats and I did start eating more red meat and things like that. And my body, oh my gosh, so much better than it was. Absolutely. But I still think my body was missing a lot, as far as nutrient dense red meat and probably even still needing more fat. I don't overdo the fat or anything like that, but I do still think my body is trying to fully adapt to, all this, nutrient dense stuff. Like, what are you doing? Oh my goodness. Hello. And so, yeah, I really do feel I'm probably still in that adaptation stage. Ugh.
I'm inclined to agree with you, and you started, you're in your 50s, you ate so poorly for so many years. It's the reason, and then as you're heading into your early 50s, perimenopause.
Why do you keep mentioning that?
Because it's something that everybody in our age group can relate to.
Hey, y'all, I'm in my 50s.
who survived living with a woman in her 50s, you have a story to share.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I want to touch on Happy Belly Supper Club in chat said something really important. Sleeping is the linchpin of health.
Oh,
and
yes. Oh, my goodness.
That
so true.
Man, I cannot agree with that more. And I think that's why I think when our bodies start waking us up in the middle of the night, or we start having problems falling to sleep, staying asleep, whatever the issue is, that's the first warning sign that there's a problem.
Yeah, for sure.
And I looking back over my years of sickness and whatnot, I can point to when I was 15 years old and used to wake up in the middle of the night and have a hard time going back to sleep. Didn't really know why I was awake, And now I kind of believe, based on my experience and what we've learned and just kind of what you talked about, we've had these. I believe your husband just joined.
Yeah.
I see you there. Well, hello, Bob. I look forward to one day getting to speak with you, sir. But I truly think that's the first warning sign. That's the first red flag. Now, I know you've been on bone broth now for over a week.
I love it. I wasn't really sure because I'm not that big of a soup person or broth person. I don't even like hot liquids. I mean, my hot chocolate or coffee was like literally lukewarm. I hate hot. Anyway, so I wasn't really sure how I would like, but I thought I'm going to give it a try because it's so nutrient dense. And plus my husband, with his knee issues and my mom having her issues and stuff, I thought it was just a really good thing to do. So I made my first batch and it was beef. Oh my goodness, I actually really enjoyed it, and so did my husband. And I really wasn't expecting him to enjoy it for some reason, but he actually really looks forward to it at night before we go to bed. We have like a half a cup. He wants more. Sometimes I give him 2 servings, but I try to kind of do the half cup servings or whatever. But yeah, I really, really enjoy the bone broth.
She just openly admitted she's restricting his broth intake. Now, how messed up is that?
Well, it takes a lot of work. But he wants more. But he would drink a pot of it, and I'm not even kidding.
I believe that. I believe that. And I think there's a good reason why that is, because it's true, pure nourishment. And once we get a taste of true, pure nourishment, we want all we can get of it. When we haven't had it, I think that you're probably going to find that you're going to want to invest in a really big slow cooker like my wife did, so that she can make these enormous quantities.
Instapot. Huge Instapot. The biggest one you can get. It's like, yeah.
How many gallons of water goes in it?
Yeah, don't be talking gallons to me. All I know is it makes about 26 servings.
See, that's the difference. My wife, Danielle's slow cooker measures in gallons.
Yeah, I don't know what mine is.
She makes huge batches of broth because I'm drinking between 8 and 12 ounces every night or more here lately.
Yeah, we drink about 8 ounces. Yeah.
And I've been drinking here the last 2 or 3 nights some 16 ounces worth. And I sleep so much. The more I drink it in the hour before bedtime, the better I sleep.
I will say one thing, and I don't know if this is just like a coincidence or what, but when I was putting on my makeup earlier, I was looking in the mirror and I was like, dang, my skin actually looks kind of good. I don't know if it's a little bit of sun I'm getting or if it's the bone broth or, if just things are kind of changing. But definitely my rosacea is better, but my skin just looks like smoother. And I was like, yeah, I don't, could be coincidental. I don't know, but...
One of the things that Danielle said in her KetovoreKast episode, and I'll get into that more a little later, was she started noticing I was looking younger. And that's part of the healing. It really has an impact on your skin. And it's remarkable. I mean, I used to have just break out I had blackheads, and I washed my face religiously multiple times a day. I did that growing up as a teenager when I went through the zit phase and all that. And it's just always been a big deal to me I want my face to be clean. I don't want to look at it and see a bunch of blackheads and all that nonsense. And that really was a problem. Not anymore. Not anymore at all. And that's just amazing.
Yeah. When I was younger, I had like the best skin. I mean, everybody always, oh, your skin is so nice. And then somewhere in my 20s when I started, going downhill and bad health and all that, I started getting the rosacea and the bumps. And, I never really had like zits. The only zit I would get would be that bad time of month and right before prom or some dumb crap like that, like on the end of your nose or whatever, this screaming one. But I hardly ever had that. And then with the rosacea, I had like all these weird little bumps right here. And even like these little squiggly lines coming out of my nose like an alcoholic. And now that's all gone. And a lot of the blushing is gone as well, except for when I get like really hot or something. But
I look forward to the day in 6 months to a year when you're on here without your makeup because your rosacea is gone. And I know it's going to happen because I've seen just in the short time I've known you some major improvements. Because I don't see you every day all the time. I'm able to discern the differences a little easier than you can. But as well as I do, it's better.
It is definitely better. And like I said, right before I was putting on my makeup, I'm kind of looking in the mirror going, wow, that kind of looks better. More smoother, so I don't know.
And it's my belief that as our skin heals, our sense of touch improves. We get more accurate sensory input. a better response, I believe. And, you know, I'm a firm believer in this, especially in what we see in our marriage at home. You know, just hugging, the act of hugging each other is just even more wonderful than it ever was, because you're functioning properly. You're not inflamed. There's nothing in the way of what you're supposed to feel. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't always process. I want to mention a couple of things. Folks were talking about buying bones and buying cartons of bone broth at Costco and elsewhere. Always check to make sure the ingredients don't have any hidden sticks of dynamite.
Yes, so true. But the other thing too, honestly, I know making the bone broth, I'll be honest with you, to me it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, and especially trying to find the bones. I mean, finally we found somewhere where we think we could probably get the bones pretty easy, if they have them in stock. But anyway, it does take a little bit of time, but there is a night and day difference. And I'm not just saying that, because believe me, I would rather pour it out of a bottle than, you know, make a mess or whatever, but it is so worth it. And you do make a lot of it, and it will last you a long time. So it's not like you have to do it every other day or something. So it's not that. It is so different. And I'll tell you how you can tell. When you have, like, I kept a carton of it's decent bone broth. It doesn't have any of the bad stuff like Brett was talking about. And I would keep that to use in recipes and et cetera, where I needed to, like, you know, more liquefy something. So I'd pour a little bit in there. That way, you know, the taste didn't get diluted. And it would never gel up. But with the homemade bone broth, once you put it in the refrigerator, it's like jelly, or at least mine is. So it's got so much collagen in it. And that's a huge difference. Plus, the taste is so much better. I'm not even kidding you. And I tell you, I use the carton bone broth a lot over the past 2.5 years, whatever. But you can't compare it to homemade bone broth. Personally, unless you just have to for whatever reason, make your own. Seriously, it's so much better. And it's kind of, I'll be honest, it's a little bit addicting. It's like, sometimes that's all I want. I know that's probably not, I know, like you said, you can't, you know, substitute that for your, you know, meat and all, but sometimes I just want that. And so I'm having it for lunch. I mean, I eat my hamburger too, but sometimes I just want a little bit at lunch, so.
I wouldn't be surprised if before long you don't start wanting some when you wake up in the morning.
I wouldn't doubt it, like coffee, right?
I think it would. I don't be surprised, because you sounded very much like Danielle, say 4 months ago, 5 months ago, because she did not eat but twice a day. And then she started having bone broth in the morning. And
I could see that. She
started having the energy that she was lacking. And suddenly then she started eating a little more along with it. She still has the bone broth. So she's making her lunch, her breakfast, and there will always be this thing of bone broth that she's drinking out of the whole time. She'll either drink it out of the plastic Tupperware, and or there'll be a spoon.
That's what we do.
You just never, she'll put the spoon in there. I'm like, why don't you just, anyway, it's hilarious watching.
You can stir, that's why. So you get all the flavor all mixed in, and the fat and all the good stuff.
Perhaps.
I get her thinking.
Supper Club says she was a rosacea girl, and now it's all gone. She's completely cured.
That's the worst. It's so embarrassing. Ugh, you look like Rudolph, you know.
Hello, Roseanne. I did not mention you specifically, but you might have heard, your ears might have been itching earlier.
He was saying all kinds of stuff. I wouldn't take it if I was you. I'm just kidding.
It's good to see you, my lady. Morning bone broth with ghee. Yeah, Danielle did that for a while with her coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And then she decided she wasn't going to do that anymore. I don't know why. It's another thing. I think it's very different. Women will make those kind of mixtures and things, whereas I don't see guys talking about doing that. I just don't see it. I think it's another one of those differences between the sexes.
Yeah,
sexes, not genders. I'm a bad man. Okay, you mentioned your mom.
Yeah.
Okay, without going into all the grisly details, your mom's going through the cancer process right now, let's say.
Breast cancer, yes.
And anyway, so she had a procedure done this week, and
Yes.
you've been traipsing back and forth to hospital and taking care of mom.
Yes,
And
yes.
you saw a lot of really frightening things, and you also did some things that really opened some people's eyes. So why don't you share some of that?
Well, yeah, I had talked before about what I saw in a doctor's office, as far as what was playing on the TV. And it just makes me want to go, Well, Tuesday is when my mother had her surgery, and it's a day surgery. They removed the lumps in the lymph node. And so we were in the waiting room, and my husband brought in the ice chest that we stocked full of, burger, bacon, cheese, and pork rinds, and a couple other things, because we had no idea how long we were going to be there. We're going to be there at least 5 hours. And pretty much these days, I need to eat lunch. I used to be able to go all day and just eat dinner. But on carnivore, for whatever reason, I need to eat lunch too. Anyway, we brought our stuff. And I'm not going to, have my husband try to go find fast food somewhere, because we don't do fast food anyway. And so, he brings in this thing when it got time for lunch. My mother had gone back to surgery, and so we were waiting, and he goes and gets the ice chest, and we walk in with this. It's just not a big one, but people are kind of looking like, what the heck are they doing? And then when you open it up, zip, make all this noise. Everybody's like looking over. I'm pulling out hamburger and bacon, and they're just like looking like, what the heck are y'all doing? And I know my husband was a little bit like, oh God, really? I can't believe we're doing this, but whatever. Oh, well, it's me, so of course. But yeah, so that was kind of interesting. And there's quite a few people in the waiting room. It's kind of, that also throws me that there's so many people who are needing, surgeries. It could be injury related or whatever. That's a different story. But it just kind of made me sad thinking there's that many people who need day surgery. Anyway, so after my mom had her surgery, she was put in a recovery room, and they allowed me to go back. And right after the anesthesia kind of wore off, that's actually some kind of funny stuff to watch when people are under anesthesia. I'll admit that's funny. Anyway, the nurse was sitting there too, this guy, and he was waiting for my mom to kind of come out of it. And I'm sitting over there, and she's like, oh, it's kind of, starting to feel the pain already. And so I kind of told the nurse, she's kind of like feeling some pain. And he was like, okay, well, we'll give her some pain medication. But she needs to eat something, because, she hadn't eaten anything because of the surgery, how anesthesia and all that. And he said, we have pudding or applesauce. And I was like, she can't have sugar. And he goes, oh, she's a diabetic. And I said, she just can't have sugar. I didn't want to get into all of that, right? And he goes, well, applesauce doesn't have sugar. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God,
This
why
is
don't
an
you put on
anesthesiologist?
No, this was a nurse.
Okay,
Yeah.
a nurse. A nurse should know that.
No, yeah. I was like, put on a continuous monitor and eat applesauce and see if it doesn't give you the same results as eating that pudding. Anyway, whatever. So I was like, yeah, no, she can't have that. I said, you know what? I have cheese out in the waiting room and pork rinds, and he just kind of looked at me funny, like, why are you carrying cheese? It's like, I'll be back. So I ran out and got cheese and came back to give it to her, because it's like, oh no. And the other thing too, it was kind of, something dawned on me that I heard some of the IV liquid actually has sugar in it. Dextrose, I think it is. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to even say anything about that. So I'm over there reading the ingredients on the IV bag. My mom's kind of laughing at me. And I'm like, well, seriously, what if they were just, shooting you up with sugar after you've been off sugar for so long? That's awful. And so sure enough, it was good. It just had sodium and potassium. So we were all good. But yeah. Oh, and then one other thing. As we're sitting in the recovery room and the curtain's kind of back a little, there's this big banner over the nurse's station. And it was basically an award, a Daisy Award for like the best nurse or something. And apparently a nurse from that station was the one that won this award or whatever. And then right in the corner on the bottom, in pretty big letters, Cinnabon. I'm like, oh my God, this is just, it's so intertwined, it's like Cinnabon and the health. I'm glad, they're supporting, I don't know, rewarding nurses or whatever, but gosh, Cinnabon, really?
So they've got sponsors. Think about that for a minute. They're sponsoring the very kinds of food that put people in the hospital.
Yeah.
In the first damn place.
Exactly.
Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
I saw a picture a couple of days ago. Somebody's family member was in the hospital for some kind of procedure or whatnot, and they were a type 2 diabetic, the patient, the family member. And they showed a picture of their tray, and it was orange juice,
yeah,
cereal,
oh my God.
donut.
Oh.
It was nothing but sugar. It was all sugar. Crystal meth. Yes, crystal meth. Cinnabon equals crack cocaine. The only difference is the crack cocaine will kill you faster.
Exactly. The other is slow poison.
And sugar just takes longer. So Roseanne's saying she didn't know about America, but the bigger Irish hospitals have vending machines and sweet shops. Oh, yeah, we have that here. The gift shop that's got the row of mints and candies and all this garbage. And they'll have the canteen that has the vending machines, and it's ridiculous. Yes, we have that slop here too, unfortunately.
Why we brought the ice chest. Yeah.
And she's in Texas, so it's even bigger. They have even bigger machines full of crap.
Probably.
So that's really, you need to be prepared. And Vinny Tortorich told me a story about him having surgery several years ago, actually. And he had a big chunk of his shoulder cut out. And they were telling him he could be in the hospital for 10 to 14 days. And he said him and his wife took their coolers of food in with him.
Heck
and
yeah.
after they sent him home after 4 days because he didn't have he didn't get an infection that people normally get. His wound healed really fast. He had no inflammation.
Because his body's working the way it's supposed to work.
And he saved the hospital and the insurance company and himself a fortune. And hospital stay cost. I mean, it's insane. Yeah. Think about it for a minute. It's not rocket science, people. Don't forget now, you folks in chat, we appreciate y'all hanging out, and y'all been paying attention and sharing your thoughts and whatnot. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We will answer them as best we can. And if we don't know the answer, we'll send you to somebody who does. I promise. We're just that way. Okay, on my list of things to talk about, I get to brag on my wife for a while.
And you should.
I legitimately get to brag about it. I'm not even blowing smoke. I don't have an ulterior motive. Like many husbands who might brag on their wife might occasionally have. I don't have that at this time. She did her first interview sharing her carnivorous experience. She told her story, not her story about me. She told her story. And I'm so insanely proud of her because that's really out of her comfort zone. And I was just thinking as I was setting up to start this, what a real privilege it's been these past few months watching her and watching you, my friend, step outside of your comfort zone in ways a year ago, neither one of you would ever have imagined.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit, my friend?
Yeah. Well, when you spend, for me, so many years hiding from the camera, hiding from the world, hiding from life, to put yourself out there to be judged to, whether it's on your looks, the way you talk, what you say, whatever it is, it's very difficult. I seriously lack the confidence to do that. I had a lot of confidence in some of my abilities and things like that. But as far as, putting myself literally out there, it was darn scary. I'm not even going to lie. And if you look back on some of the first podcasts, I'm like blinking like this, because that's like a nervous thing. And the last couple, I've kind of feel like I've come into my own and I feel comfortable and I feel okay. And, even if somebody does judge me, I'm like, okay, I'm not saying it's not going to hurt my feelings, but, whatever. I could deal with it now, I think. And my blinking isn't, whoa, like this. So it has definitely been a huge, huge thing for me. And I don't think people really quite understand it, because when a camera would come out, dude, I was running the other way. I was going in the house or whatever it was, or I made sure I was always the one behind the camera that way. And how I have so many fat pictures of me, I don't even know. That must have, and how I kept them, because usually I would tear them up or tear me out of it. So I'm kind of grateful that I did keep those, but shocked all the same. Anyway, yes, it's been a huge growth for me.
The confidence factor, I think, is huge. I mean, even when I was sick, I still had confidence. Now, that was a dangerous combination at the time, because I had confidence in my illness. Basically, I was unaware of it. So, but now that I'm well, I have great confidence, and I'm secure in what I'm doing. And because I'm cautious, I'm responsive versus being reactionary. And
true story.
I think that's just all a part of the brain fog being gone and no longer under the anvil of depression and anxiety that I was dominated by for decades. But I see this, especially in my wife, and I want to encourage everybody tomorrow afternoon, go to YouTube and check out Carnomat, where Amber and her husband Bob have been before. My wife and I are about to go, only we're not going to drive as far. I'm not going to drive to their house like you all did, although that would be cool.
It was a lot of fun. It really was.
Well, we're gonna sit down and have a talk with Mike, Mr. Carnomat himself, tomorrow, and most of it's going to be half of it at least, or more, is going to be about her experience. But we're also going to spend a chunk of time talking about the marital benefits, what it's done for us as a couple, both being on the carnivore train. And I really would encourage you all to check that out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be informative. You'll get to see my wife and hear her talk about things that you may have been curious about beforehand, and then after you hear what she has to say, you'll be like, well, maybe I shouldn't have wanted to know that. I don't know.
I think it's really interesting about couples, like how they, like when they start something and they don't really say a whole lot. And then all of a sudden, when they get the opportunity, you realize how much they really know about it and what they think about it. Because like the interview with Mike, I thought it was going to be, a lot of me talking, and then my husband just kind of interjecting here and there. That interview was about him. I ain't even kidding you. And he was talking and saying things that I'm like, whoa, you go, boy. Wow. Where did that come from? So he's been listening, and he's been, I don't know, maybe he's been doing some researching and watching podcasts and et cetera too. But geez Louise, I just kind of shut my mouth, and I'm like going, wow, okay. So that interview is mostly with him talking. It's really quite funny.
Roseanne asked the question, have either of us watched the Fat documentary? You missed the beginning of the podcast. Yeah. We waxed eloquent about it for about 10 solid minutes. Yes, we've seen it, and we're very, everybody in the world needs to see it at least once.
Agree. Yeah.
Bob was great in that interview, and he did jump out there, and he showed quite a bit of knowledge, and he was paying attention, and
I was kind of proud, a little shocked, but kind of proud.
Yeah, that's great. I thought he was fantastic in that way. And, we think we know our spouse and what they were observing or whatnot. And we always find out that they were observing things very differently than we ever imagined.
Yeah. And when Danielle just kind of took over the interview too, that one on KetovoreKast, that's funny.
Yeah, she was great. She was fantastic, and she also made a couple of humorous comments like, well, Brett said a lot of crazy things over the years. Well, yeah, I did.
She's kind of funny. She does have that little bit of interjecting, like the other night when we were talking about what we were going to discuss here, and Danielle was in the background, and she would just make these little bloop, bloop, bloop. It's like she's kind of crawling out of that shell, too.
Yeah, she's come a long way. I'm extremely proud of her. I think her story, especially about, the way her arthritis is cleared up, the fact that she was afraid her career was going to come to an end, doing what she's really good at, and she's been doing for over 30 years, and how she dealt with that. I really encourage everybody to go listen to the KetovoreKast, not just because she's my wife, but because she's got a really powerful story. If I didn't know her, it would be a powerful story. It's that good. And she does it really good. And Scott Mislinski does a fantastic job as asking questions. He's just really good at asking people and phrasing things in a way that just perfect every time. Let's see. What other things did we have to talk about? Well, along with all that personal growth stuff, let's stop and think for a minute. Look at all the things that just in a few months we've been working on this, the KetovoreKast, and KetovoreKast. Gee, sorry, Scott. KetovoreKast. I knew I was going to do it. You knew it was going to happen eventually.
Oh, yeah.
But just the growth, the opportunities, the ability to see further into the future and plan. I couldn't do that prior to carnivory. I couldn't think that far into the future. I couldn't hardly see past the next 20 minutes for many years. Am I going to get through this next 15 minutes or not? That's all I was interested in, because sometimes that's what it was like. But now we're able, because we're not overwhelmed with all this stuff. I mean, what's your perspective on that? Are you noticing the same thing?
Well, like I said, because I've been under stress, my mind is kind of never stopping.
Sure.
And I think that's part of my sleep issue, too, is that I can't shut my mind off. But, yeah, I mean, I would have never dreamed to be where we're at right now, really. Number one, just being in front of the camera is huge. But to, kind of think of it in a bigger way in the future, I actually see that happening. I can see there is a future, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, where before I would have never.
Huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Because you lived for years without thinking in terms of the future. I know you did.
Yeah, not so much. Yeah. Not really so much. I mean, yes and no, but yeah. I had even stopped writing. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows, but I used to write romance, and I have been published. But for years, it's been years since I've sat down and wrote anything of substance or had anything published. So I guess there was kind of a chunk of time where I was still trying to figure things out. And, now I have a real direction. I know what I want. I think I feel like I know what I'm meant to do and what my whole life has prepared me to do from the age of 10 on. It's, very clear to me now, where before, goodness, I could not decide what I wanted to be when I grew up. I mean, even going to college, I had, 7 different majors. I don't even know. I had enough hours in college to have a degree plus some, yet I have no degree because I kept changing. And we're talking from being in biology to fine arts, drama. I mean, we're talking complete opposite ends of the spectrum. I am extremely well-rounded, I'll tell you that, but I have no degree. And it's kind of a joke in my family, but whatever. But now I really feel like I have a focus, and I feel like everything I've gone through has to have a purpose, has to have a meaning. I mean, why else would I have gone through all that pain and, issues if it wasn't for something good in the end, something being prepared for? So yes, I feel like I'm focused is the short answer, yes.
And the KetovoreKast is an extension of that. It's a direct byproduct of that. I'm right there with you. I mean, I wandered. Aimless is just too not strong enough a word, but something stronger than aimless would apply to how I was for decades. And as my illness got worse, my ability to excel at things diminished greatly. And I know I'm doing what I should be doing.
I feel that way too.
I should be doing, I should be on social media helping people and giving answers to people's questions and you know,
Being an example, trying to get the word out, trying to help people.
And also as part of my own self-growth. And, you know, for years, I had a really low opinion of me, to say the least.
Not of you.
And to get used to the fact that, you know, without getting a big head about it, you know, people saying these wonderful things to me that you all say you people in the audience say some of the most wonderful things to me regular basis. And, it's just so fulfilling. It's priceless.
It is.
It's better than any dollar amount I'll ever see in my life.
Agree. And we're not making money off this. No.
Definitely not making money off of it. And I'm a terrible salesperson anyway. I mean,
oh God, me too.
My Instagram's a t-shirt selling site. How often do you hear me talk about selling shirts? You never do, and you're never going to, because that's not why I'm doing this. That just helps keep the lights on a little bit. Can't get satiation from carnivore help. Okay. That is an issue. If you're first up, are you new to carnivory? How long have you been trying carnivory? How much are you eating? A lot of it's going to depend on your height, your size. You know, obviously some smaller, more diminutive people aren't going to be able to eat 2 pounds of meat in one setting. Or,
I had that issue. I did.
Or they're never going to feel full. They're never going to feel full. Yeah. My first thought is, are you eating enough fat?
Okay. They're pretty early
weeks,
on.
You're in the 3 weeks, you're still in early adaptation.
Oh yeah. I was there too. I even talked to Brett about it. I was hungry, and I'm like, on keto, I was never hungry. I ate once a day, and I didn't even eat that big, you know, but with carnivore, I was like, what is the deal? I have to eat twice a day. I still can't eat in the morning, and I don't want to, but I did struggle with that for a little while. So what I did that worked is I upped my fat just a little bit, just for a little while, so I didn't have that, because I hated that, because on keto, I had got rid of that, and I didn't want to experience that again. So I did up my fat just a little bit, and then once I felt like I was okay, I kind of lowered my fat again, and I've been fine. And sometimes, like I was saying earlier, I don't even want to eat dinner. I don't. I want my bone broth. I don't want to eat anything solid for whatever reason. So I'm kind of starting to get back to where I was on keto. So give it more time. Yeah, I get it. I was really hungry too, and it scared me, because I was so happy to be rid of that. So just give it a little more time. Just up your fat maybe just a little and try it. I'm not talking gobs. I'm talking, I did 1 tablespoon of butter or ghee extra kind of thing. So
yeah, maybe add a slice or 2 of bacon.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
Just something like that can make a huge amount of difference.
It really does. It was very little for me. So.
And it's always going to be, you got to remember also, we all heal at different speeds.
Yes.
We all adapt at different speeds. You know, some people adapt quickly. Some people take longer. It's going to vary. It's going to depend on how long you've been sick, how sick you were when you started, what your weight was, what your metabolism is when you start. There's so many factors. It's always very specific to the individual. But if you follow these basic directions, you're going to be fine. Only eat when you're hungry. Do not eat unless you're hungry. Don't eat by the clock. Eat by your gut.
Yep.
When you eat until you're not another bite full. That means until there's no room left for anything. And you'll know.
I finally experienced that. I get it now. I
can't swallow. If I swallow the last bite, no MCT oil. Stay away from, that's vegetable. Yeah. No, you don't need that. That's nonsense. You don't want to fool. You want to stay within the animal kingdom, period. Especially being a new person. You want to set yourself up for success. We only got 5 minutes left here. I want us to make sure we help Healing Pursuit give themselves an opportunity to succeed, because that's something a lot of people don't do. They don't research this. They go into it and they're trying a lot of things that maybe they shouldn't be trying, and it's usually out of ignorance. Okay, I highly recommend Healing Pursuit if you haven't already. Please go on Facebook and join the Zeroing In on Health group. There are people there who've been living this way for 10 years and longer. They will have better, longer, more precise answers to any question you might have. And I trust them explicitly. That's where I learned how to do carnivory. And I believe one of the reasons why I've been so successful is I just followed the directions.
Yeah, I totally get it, believe me, the hunger.
And that, to me, is why I am successful with it. Not because of any willpower or any special juice that I bring to the issue. MCT's keto approved. So there's a lot of things that are keto approved that I wouldn't put in my mouth for love nor money. I'll just say it straight up. A lot of those processed powders, all of those, no.
Yeah, the thing is with carnivore, it's animal based, and MCT is from coconut, and that's not animal. So that's why you say that. I mean, if you're going to be actual carnivore, some, have your dairy and et cetera like that, cheese, whatever, but that's animal sourced. But MCT oil is not. You can have ghee, bacon grease, eat bacon, butter is fine, grass-fed is better, lard, tallow.
Yeah. Healing Pursuits wanted me to repeat the Facebook name again. It's Carnivorous Lioness got it right. Zeroing In on Health Facebook group.
We'll have to add that at the bottom after we upload the video. We'll add that too.
Vic Cosmetics, we do talk about both ways of eating, but you were asking something about this person is on carnivory. MCT oil is not okay for carnivory. It is not optimal in any way, shape, or form. But for keto, just a regular ketogenic diet where you're having other foods, you're not just zero carb, MCT oil is fine.
I will say, though, my experience with MCT oil was that it made my heart kind of palpitate. It was kind of like, and I didn't like that feeling at all. So I'm not a fan of MCT oil. I mean, other people do just fine with it, but it was not good for me for whatever reason. And it wasn't that I had any issue with coconut.
We got 2 minutes left. I want to thank everybody in the chat.
Yes, thank y'all.
This hour has literally flown by for me. Just is over.
Yeah.
Great discussion, Amber. Thank you so much again. Peace be with your mom. I hope she heals up nicely without incident. And I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Y'all be careful out there amongst them. And somebody's asking a fasting question. Ask. That's all. It's too late to talk about fasting at this point in the show and give you a good thing. Go to Zeroing In on Health and ask them about fasting. That's all I'll say about that issue at this time.
Or you can DM me.
What Carnivorous Lioness said.
I have a different experience with fasting. If you want to ask me, I've done a lot of fasting in the 2 years. So if you want to ask about that, DM me. We just don't have time. Sorry.
Exactly. Y'all have a great weekend.
Yes, have a wonderful weekend.
With another IGTV tomorrow morning. Peace be with you all. Always remember, be thankful.
Be thankful. Bye, y'all. Have a wonderful weekend.
Goodbye.